Hello, I'm Sierra Castor. I know, my name doesn't fit well together, but it's my mom's original last name before she married my father. Otherwise, my name is legally Sierra Rogers. Well, anyway, I suppose you're here for one reason, to know why I did what I did. And I guess I should start from the beginning. Well, I was born October 16th, 2003, so not much younger than the love of my life. He's 16 and I'm 15. Anyway, my parents would go to have 3 more kids. My little sisters, which one is 13 and the other is 7. My little brother, which is 6. I hated my life. I really did. I'll never forget the day that I truly felt like this. You might say, but Sierra, I thought you felt like this before. Well, I didn't. I was pretty good at hiding emotions. In fact, I was rather popular at school, with both girls and guys, which I'm not sure why, due to my parents feeding themselves and letting their 4 children starve. I had to steal money from my friends, which I felt horrible for doing, but don't worry, I did ask first, but if they said no, then I had to. I kept telling myself it is for the better of 4 kids, but still, it felt wrong. Anyway, this is the day I truly felt hopeless. It all started when my parents were required to show up at my school's awards day. So my mom sat in the back seat of the Bronco, which she did so she could enjoy the ride without being with fear of my dad smacking her for doing or saying the wrong thing. No, she'd rather it be me. So I get in the passenger seat, and my dad starts the Bronco, with it barely starting, and we make our way to the school that I attended, which I got a total of 7 awards. So I guess you could say I'm rather smart considering these were all from honors classes, but of course, just as I expected, my mother nor father cared how smart I was. After obtaining my awards, we all get back in the Bronco and make our way back to our house. I then pull out my phone and text my little brother, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" Me and Serena and Aria are all fishing, just like you taught us, big sis," he replied with a smiley face emoji. "Oh, awesome. I hope you all catch something really big. Oh, and are you fishing at that bridge I told you about?" I replied with the same emoji. "Yes, big sis. Thank you for showing us this place. It is awesome. I just caught me the biggest fish yet," he replied with yet again the same emoji. I loved my brother and my sisters with all of my heart. I was always there for them, and they were always there for me. They meant the world to me. But while I was thinking this, it was rudely interrupted by hollering and screaming. It was my mother and father arguing about the usual gas, money, and alcohol, and somehow it started snowing bad, as if it were a sudden blizzard, and I had almost missed it. My father was speeding as usual, and suddenly I make out 3 little silhouettes in front of us. I scream, "Dad, stop!" But to my utter dismay, he didn't listen, and I hear a cracking/screaming. It felt like we hit 3 potholes. My dad finally did stop, and I quickly proceed out of the Bronco, and I walked in front of the Bronco. There was a total of 3 dents. One was on the left side of the bumper. The second one was a little higher, but still on the right side of the bumper, causing the black plastic that surrounded it to fall off. However, half of it was still hanging on. The third one was on the hood. The front of the Bronco was covered in blood. I was hoping and praying that we just hit 3 deer. I walked to the back and see a pile of gore, blood, and bodies. I proceed to continue further inspection, but what I see makes me throw up into my own mouth. As I was staring into the eyes of my own brother and sister, with horror still stuck on their faces, my brother still had his little brim still in his hand. I get on my knees to try and feel a pulse on any of them, but there was nothing. I then start crying. My father shows up and says, "Damn, what a mess." "What do you mean, what a mess? These kids were your own sons and daughters. And Dad, we have to take them to the hospital, please," I say while standing up and giving him a hug. He grabs me and pushes me towards the mess, and while doing so he says, "No, you clean it up. This is your fault. If we didn't have to go to your stupid award shit, they would still be alive." I begin to think to myself, maybe it is my fault. I mean, for Christ's sake, everything's my fault. It's my fault my dad is an alcoholic. It's my fault that my mom cuts herself every night. It's my fault that my dad beats my mom and me near to death. It's my fault our house is slowly rotting away. It's my fault that we have no money. And now it's my fault that my brother and my two little sisters who meant the world to me are dead. You can only be told something's all your fault so many times before you believe it yourself. So I proceed to drag their bodies one by one to the river shore and kiss each and every one of them on the forehead. I got back to the Bronco and we went home. The next day, my dad decided it was time for us to move, so we did. It was the day before school break was over, and for some odd reason I woke up and both my parents said, "Kill me." The weird thing was that their mouths weren't moving, but they still kept saying it until they got to the point where they were literally screaming it in my ear. So I got a frying pan and beat them both to death. Then I proceeded to drag them to the basement, but as I was leaving the basement, I could have swore I seen them move. But what was even weirder was that they were still talking, saying things like "thank you" and "we're hungry." So I decided to make my dad's favorite, ramen noodles. When I finished, I gave it to them, and they were so happy. They said things like, "Thank you," and "you're an awesome daughter." In a weird way, I'm kind of glad I killed them, as they're a lot nicer now. "I'm sorry we didn't get you any school supplies, sweetie, though I still love you," my dad says. "Oh, please, Daddy, it's okay. Hey, I'll manage. You know, you're such a beautiful young girl, just like your mother," my dad says. "Oh, thanks, Dad. Let me get you two off the cold concrete floor." So I begin to make a pallet out of blankets and a couple of pillows. Then once it's all done, I then proceed to ask my dad, "Can I have the Bronco?" "Of course, sweetie. I won't be needing it anyways," my dad says in response to my question. With that being said, I curl up next to my mom and dad and fall asleep. When I awake, I take care of personal hygiene and then put clothes on. Then I proceed to make my way to the bus stop. Once I finally make it there is one other person there, a boy. "Oh, hey, I'm William Burden. I'm guessing you're new here?" Yeah, I'm Sierra Rogers, but I prefer to go by Sierra Castor." "Oh, okay, well, no problem, Sierra Castor. Nice to meet you." "Nice to meet you too. Oh, geez, your book bag. Did your parents not get you one? I immediately think to myself, was he assuming my parents were bad parents? As I say this in my head, I subconsciously ball my fist. Well, here, take mine. Will holds his hand out, revealing the book bag. But what about you? Haha, I don't really use it that and the first opinion is everything, so you kinda need one, and the teachers already know I'm a slacker. You are not though, so here, take it. Think of it as a neighbor gift. And right then, I knew I needed him in my life. He made everything better. He made my life worth living again. The bus finally came, and all the seats on the bus were filled except one, so me and him would get to sit it together. Will sat there quietly, and I will admit it, I stared at him creepily the whole time. I loved him, I really did. The day went by normally, and finally me and Will met again on the bus. It once again started snowing, as if it were a blizzard. The bus stopped, and me and Will got off the bus. He ran to his home while I waited. To my excitement, his tracks were still visible, so I began to follow them all the way to his house. But to my amazement, I see an all too familiar vehicle in the driveway, and that was a green Bronco, just like mine, except mine was primer white. I proceed to make my way to the backyard and peek through a window that I assume led to the kitchen. I then see Will and his family eating dinner together. I think to myself, wow, I wish I had that. And who knows, maybe I will. If I marry Will, I'll have a family to call my own. I wonder if his mom and dad and sister would like me. I put my ear to the window and attempt to hear what they are talking about. When I hear his father jokingly say, yeah, you didn't meet a girl. Girls don't like you. Ha ha, Will says. Geez, I'm just kidding. Boy, lighten up, his dad says. Then the whole table, including Will, erupts in laughter. I begin thinking to myself, no way they would ever like me. I'm a psychopath. Well, no worries, because I will have Will one way or another. I proceed to make my way back to my house, our house, and I open the door and run to the basement to where my parents are. Hey, sweetie, how was your day? My mom says. It was the best day ever. I met a boy. Ooh, a boy? Are you dating? No, Mom, I say while my face turns a dark crimson red. But we will be. Well, what's the lucky guy's name? Will, I say while I take the book bag he gave me and put it to my chest as if I was giving it a hug. I then make my mom and dad more ramen. And curl up and go to sleep. I then wake up and repeat yesterday, except on my way out of school, I broke into the nurse's office and got 4 syringes and 4 sedatives for my plan for the upcoming day. I then go home, make my parents some more ramen, as the other ramen from days before had moss in the bowls. My parents were already at a far stage of decay, to where they were barely recognizable. Not only that, but they seemed to have a little maggot as well as a fly problem, though it doesn't bother me, as my parents are beautiful. Anyway, I curl up right next to them and fall asleep. I awake repeating my normal morning routine. However, it wasn't normal, as instead of waiting for the bus, I got in my Bronco and started it up as usual. It barely started up. I went down a back road, and just as I expected, I see me and Will's bus. So I drove right up next to it and ran it into a ditch. I then opened up the glove box to the Bronco and pulled out a huge black sheath knife. I then got on the bus and killed everyone, and it was quite easy, actually. Just as I thought, nobody tried to stop me, and nobody could call the cops because the cell towers were down. So I thought it was a perfect day to do this. If this were Battlefield, I would already have 60 kills. Not bad for a bus that holds 63 kids. So I proceeded to make my way back to my house to drop off the Bronco. Then I walk to the bus stop. Most people would say what I'm wearing is crazy or too cold. However, I can't feel anything. I can only feel the love I have for Will. Hey guys, Mr. Scary 36 here, and I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I love narrating these things, even though I'm not that great at it at all. But yeah, my laptop is dying, so I do need to edit this and do all that. So I'll see you guys later. But hey, if you want to submit your own story, do it via the Mr. Scary 36 Gmail, which is in the description below. And yeah, soon I'll be making some social media for it, I swear. But until then, this is how we're gonna have to do it. So yeah, I'll see you guys later.